we are and what we do, Little Rays is actually Canada's largest exotic animal rescue. So the majority of these animals you see here today are animals that people actually used to own as pets. And for whatever reason, they couldn't take care of them anymore. Maybe they didn't do something very important before getting that animal, or even illegal animals that people have owned. Things like alligators and crocodiles. I'll tell you right now that 15-foot long Nile crocodiles don't make very good pets. They're not a good pet, but there are people out there that think they do. And we take in these animals and we house them hopefully temporarily until we can find them the best long-term home. So whether that means bringing them down to sanctuaries in the United States here, in places like Arizona, Florida, some of the animals we had brought down there, they had lived inside their entire lives. But now they can live outside all year round, and if they never want to come in contact with people ever again, they don't have to. And none of it would be possible without you guys sitting in front of me here today. We wouldn't be able to take in and take care of and keep all of these animals we get nice and healthy and happy if it wasn't for you guys sitting in front of me today. So give yourselves a nice big round of applause, all right? You know what? I sincerely thank you. The rest of our staff here sincerely thank you. And of course, so do the animals, because without you guys, we wouldn't be able to make sure that they're nice and healthy and happy. So thank you for that. Now with that said, are you guys ready for the fun part of my show? Yeah. This is my favorite part too, all right? The rules. Well, I just have 3 quick rules to go over. Is that okay with everyone? Well, you don't have a choice anyway. So, rule number 1, I am going to ask that everybody stay seated. I may be looking for some volunteers throughout my show, so if I call on one of you, absolutely come up, and I will be walking some of the animals around to give you guys a closer look. But other than that, we're going to stay seated. Rule number 2, we are going to be looking at animals here today, and talking about animals as well, but that's not all you guys get to do. You're also going to be able to touch and interact with some of these animals. So after touching any animal, whether it's a dog or a cat, a lizard, a sibling, what should we do with these? Wash them, that's right. There is hand sanitizer spread out around the room. Soap and water is my personal favorite way to wash hands, but it's up to you guys. And that's not because these animals are dirty. So you're not going to wake up tomorrow with a forked tongue and scales because you touched a snake. But every single day, these animals come in contact with hundreds, if not thousands, of the dirtiest, grossest, germ-filled animals in the world. And what is this totally gross and disgusting creature I'm talking about right now? That's you guys, right? It's children. But it's okay because your parents are gross too. But it's the people germs you have to worry about. So you're not going to go home with some strange reptile disease, but you don't want to go home with someone else's cold or flu, right? That's no fun. So before you leave here or eat lunch or stick fingers back in your mouth, we want to make sure we wash those hands. And the third and final rule is it's always important for us to be listening. Again, we're going to be able to touch and interact with some of these animals. Some of them you'll be able to hold right in your hands. Others you won't. Some you'll be able to pat nicely on their backs. Others you won't. Some you'll be able to get up nice and close to and take lots of amazing pictures with, all right? So it's important to listen for your safety, but for the safety of our animals, which ones it's okay to touch or hold or interact with, and which ones we can get nice and close to and take lots of pictures with, all right? Do those seem like pretty easy rules to remember? Pretty straightforward rules, yeah. So, are you guys ready to see my first animal? Yeah. I was hoping you'd say that. Now, I did mention that this is our reptile presentation of the day, but I know that not everyone here is probably a huge fan of reptiles. Not everybody likes snakes and lizards. You know what, that's okay. So I always like to bring something for everybody. And I'm pretty sure that everybody here loves cute, fluffy animals. Am I right, guys? Do you like cute, fluffy animals? Yeah. Like baby bunnies? Do you guys like baby bunnies? So, do you want to see a cute, fluffy animal for my first animal? Yeah? All right. Now, this animal is super cute, super fluffy. She's kind of like a baby bunny, but she's not a baby bunny because baby bunnies terrify me. But I'm pretty sure that everyone here is going to love my first animal just as much as I do. And everybody, say hello to my very good friend. Here she is. Everybody say hello to Buzz Lightyear. Guys, I'm kind of confused. I could have sworn I had just asked you if you like the cute fluffy animals, and everyone here said yes. But I bring out Buzz Lightyear, and that's not what I saw. I saw some people running away from me. I saw some people covering their eyes and looking away. Why is that? What kind of animal is this? It's a tarantula, that's right. And you know what? Tarantulas and spiders are some of my favorite animals to talk about. Because unfortunately, they do happen to be considered the most feared animal in the world. But not only the most feared animal in the world, the fear of spiders, or arachnophobia, also happens to be one of the most common fears in the world as well. In fact, 3 of the most common fears are spiders, public speaking, and death. So if I were to die right now in front of you, I'd be doing all 3 of those things at once, okay? And if you ask me, that would be pretty impressive. Now, just by a show of hands, is there anyone here today that might have a slight fear of spiders, a little bit of arachnophobia? It's okay, guys, raise your hands, right? I'm not here to make fun of you. There are way more of you than there are of me. But if you look around at everyone that has their hands up, and maybe some of your friends and family that might be afraid of spiders, what is it about spiders that makes them so scary? What makes spiders so scary? 8 legs? Well, that's kind of understandable because an 8-legged cat would be terrifying as well. What else makes spiders scary? Venom, right? A lot of people tell me that spiders are venomous, and that can make them scary. But do you really think I would be standing up here in front of you all today, holding a venomous animal in my hand? Yeah, you're absolutely right. I am. Because Buzz Lightyear here is venomous. But just because something's venomous doesn't necessarily mean it's dangerous. Is there anyone here today that has ever been envenomated by an animal before? Stung by a bee or a wasp? Now keep those hands raised, but only if you survived that bee or wasp sting. Okay, same amount of hands, that makes me very happy to see. Because bees and wasps are venomous. But unless you're allergic to a bee sting, if you get stung, do you need to call an ambulance? No. Do you need to rush to the hospital? No. Is it fun being stung by bees? Do you guys enjoy bee stings? No. Most people don't like being stung by bees. But unless you're allergic, it's not dangerous. And just like a bee, if Buzz Lightyear here were to bite me, her venom is no worse than a bee sting. So I wouldn't need to call an ambulance. I wouldn't need to rush to the hospital. It might not feel great. It might hurt a little bit. I might even stand up here in front of you and say a 4-letter word. Like, ouch. But they're not dangerous. In fact, every single species of tarantula in the world is venomous. And there are roughly 800 different species. Not one of them is dangerous to people. There's no such thing as a deadly tarantula. They don't exist. And unlike bees, you can't be allergic to tarantula venom. So they're not dangerous to people. And this is all if she were to bite me. But do you think she bites at all? No. Absolutely she does. Right? Every single animal in the world with a mouth bites. Do you guys bite things? What do you guys bite? You bite your food, that's right. That's what she bites as well. But you know what she doesn't like to bite? People. People and even things that scare her. She doesn't even like to bite to defend herself. If she's biting to defend herself, she has to be close to whatever's trying to hurt her. And if something's trying to hurt her, she wants to be as far away from that thing as possible. So if she doesn't like to bite to defend herself, what's another possible way this spider might be able to protect herself from something trying to hurt her? What are most animals going to try to do when they're scared?
Run away.
Run away, that's right. And that's exactly what she's going to try to do too. But sometimes running and hiding doesn't always work. And when that doesn't work, what Buzz Lightyear does is pretty special. And as I was bringing her around, if you looked closely at her, what was she covered in? She was covered in hair, that's right. So what Buzz Lightyear will do when she's scared is she takes her two back legs and she rubs and flicks them on her abdomen. And when she does this, she actually kicks off a cloud of her own itchy butt hairs. And these butt hairs are like tiny porcupine quills. If they get into your skin, they kind of feel like fiberglass insulation. If they get into your eyes, some species can actually cause blindness. And animals that try to eat tarantulas are things like foxes and coyotes, animals with big wet eyes and wet noses. If a fox or a coyote is blinded by itchy butt hairs, are they going to worry about trying to eat this spider anymore? So what can she do? She can run away. She can run away and hide, and she protected herself against that animal trying to eat her, and she didn't even have to touch it. Now, after the presentation, I will have Buzz Lightyear or one of our other tarantulas up beside this white fence, beside our nice big tarantula picture. And anyone who would like to is able to come up, get some pictures, get nice and close. If you have any more questions, I'll be happy to answer any of them. If you are still a little bit scared, that's okay. I do find it helps to think of them like little, tiny, venomous, 8-legged kitty cats. And they don't seem as scary after that. Except Buzz Lightyear here is honestly safer and friendlier than most cats I know. So we will bring her out after the show, but for now, can we say goodbye to Buzz Lightyear? Alright. And I have time for 2 more animals. This next animal I'm going to be bringing out though, I do admit before I bring him out, I will have to give you guys a little bit of a warning. Because this next animal happens to be pretty fast. And I'm actually going to need some help with this next animal. So what I'm going to do is I am going to get everybody sitting on the ground to help me with my next animal. Can you guys help me out with something? Thanks, guys. You have a very, very easy job, all right? You don't even need to get up. I need you to stay seated, but hold your hands out in front of you. Kind of like a catcher's mitt. Because I'm going to bring out Shuffles, and I'm going to put him on the ground. And if he runs away from me and tries to escape, don't freak out, okay? Don't panic. I can usually get him back before that happens. I'll just need one of you to hold your hands out, try to block him, or even jump on his back, and I'll come over and get him for you, okay? Does that sound easy enough? Yeah, some people have to do that. Does that sound easy enough, Phil? Awesome, thanks guys. I promise, usually nothing happens, but every once in a while he does go rogue. So, everybody, say hello to my very good and very fast friend. Here we go. Everybody say hello to Shuffles. Are you guys ready? 3, 2, I'll just aim them this way. 3, 2, 1, go. He's actually moving backwards. So I'm not sure what you guys think, but I think I might just be able to catch him. Oh, you guys actually look like a pretty smart crowd here to me today, so I'm pretty sure that everyone here knows exactly what kind of animal this is. So shout out guys, what kind of animal is he? Okay, well, that's kind of confusing. I heard more than one answer. I heard tortoise for sure, and I heard turtle for sure. I think I heard one of you say tortoise as well. I don't really know what kind of animal that is. But raise your hand if you think Shuffles here is a turtle. A few of you. Raise your hand if you think Shuffles is a tortoise. A few more. Raise your hand if you have no idea what I'm talking about because you're not paying attention. There we go, at least we're being honest. Everyone that said tortoise, you are absolutely right. Shuffles here is an African spur-thighed tortoise or a sulcata tortoise. But if you had said turtle, you would have also been absolutely right. So kind of a trick question, not really fair on my part. How is it possible that Shuffles here is both a tortoise and a turtle at the same time? That doesn't even make sense, right? How is that possible? Same thing. Well, you know what? You guys are close. Because it turns out that all tortoises are turtles, but not all turtles are tortoises. And you know what? That can kind of confuse me sometimes too. So to help you think about it a little bit easier, everyone look at your hands. All of your thumbs are fingers, but are all of your fingers thumbs? No. And it's the same with turtles and tortoises. So that's how they're similar. But does anyone know the difference between a turtle and a tortoise? How are they different? Yeah. A turtle usually has flippers and a tortoise usually has legs. You are absolutely right. If I bring Shuffles around and you look at his feet, does he have webbed feet? Oh. Does he have flippers like a sea turtle? No. Do you think he'd be a very good swimmer with feet like these? No. I mean, when you guys go swimming, do you ball up a fist and try to swim through the water like that? Doesn't work very well, does it? What do you do instead? You spread out your hands like webbed feet, or flippers, right? Generally speaking, tortoises like Shuffles here like to live on land and will have stumpy elephant feet and aren't very good swimmers, while turtles like to live in or around the water and will have webbed feet or flippers for feet like sea turtles. Now, there are always exceptions in nature, and there is one turtle called the box turtle that does not have webbed feet, they don't have flippers, they have stumpy elephant feet, and they spend most of their time on land. But box turtles have something called articulated wrists, and if you look at your wrists right now, you'll notice that you yourselves have articulated wrists, which gives them a much wider range of motion to help them swim. And tortoises don't really have that. Now, as I was bringing him around and you were looking at his feet, if you looked very closely, you may have also noticed something kind of strange on his back. What is this weird thing on his back? It's his shell, that's right. And has anyone here ever heard of the question, if a turtle loses his shell, is he naked or homeless? He's actually neither. He's dead. Turtles and tortoises can't take off their shell. And that's because their shell is pretty hard. What do you think their shell could be made of that makes it so hard? Keratin. You know what? That's the answer I hear most often. But it turns out that that's not 100% true. Everybody feel your elbow. What is that hard thing you feel in your elbow? It's your bone. That's what his shell is made of. It's his bone. It's his spine, his ribs, his collarbone, and they're all kind of fused together. But just like when you're touching your elbow, are you actually touching bone? I really hope not. What are you touching? You're touching your skin. That's what his shell is covered in, his skin. And what do we usually call reptile skin? Scales. His shell is covered in scales. And his scales are what's made out of keratin. And keratin is pretty special because we have something on our bodies made out of keratin. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Our fingernails, that's right. Our fingernails, our hair, feathers on birds, horse hooves and rhino horns. Have any of you ever been licked by a cat before? You know those rough spots on the cat's tongue? those are also keratin. And after the presentation, everyone here will be able to feel Shuffles or one of our other tortoises on their back after the show. But for now, can we say goodbye to Shuffles? And I have one more animal for you guys. And this next animal I'm going to be bringing out happens to be one of my favorite animals to talk about because they do some pretty strange and bizarre things. And I'm pretty sure that everyone here is going to love this next animal just as much as I do. And everybody, here it is, say hello to my very good friend, Julius Squeezer. What kind of animal is this, guys? A snake, that's right. And specifically, Julius Squeezer here is a boa constrictor. Now, I mentioned that before I brought him out. He does some pretty strange and bizarre things. And if you look closely at his head, you might notice something kind of strange and bizarre sticking out of his mouth. What is that weird thing? It's his tongue, that's right. And what is he doing? Is he waving at you guys? Is he being rude? What's he doing? He's smelling? So snakes smell with their tongues? Well, kind of. They don't necessarily smell with their tongues, but they do use their tongues to help them to smell. And now what I'd like everyone here to do is help show me how snakes use their tongues to help them smell. So everyone hold up your fingers like a snake tongue. And bonus points if you can make snake noises. Some great snake noises. Now wave your snake tongue to the left and pick up your friend's smells to the left. Pick up your friend's smells to the right. Pick up your own smells. Now shove your fingers really far up your nose. And if you smelled anything doing that, please wash your hands. Okay? You're not supposed to smell anything doing that. It doesn't work for us. But it does work for snakes. And what snakes will do is they stick their tongue out, wave it around in the air, pick up all the different smells in the air, bring it back into their mouth, and they pick their nose with their tongue. Like, just like you guys, right? Do you guys pick your nose with your tongue? No. I know a few people that can do it. It's pretty impressive to watch. And if you look closely at their tongue, you can see it's kind of forked. It's split at the end, so they can tell which direction the scent is coming from. If they smell food or prey on this side of their tongue, they go in this direction. If they smell predator or danger on this side of their tongue, they go in this direction. It's like a built-in GPS. And after the presentation, everyone here will be able to feel Julius Squeezer. But there are two spots on the snake we probably don't want to touch. What do you think one of those spots is? His head, that's right. And is that because he's mean and is going to bite? I'm touching his head. Is he biting me right now? Absolutely not. But people ask me every day why they're not allowed to touch any of our animals on their faces, and I'm constantly resisting the urge to respond to them by reaching out and touching them on their faces. I mean, I'm sure you guys wouldn't be thrilled if a stranger came up and poked you in the nose, right? You probably wouldn't like that. The snake's not gonna like that either. Where's the second spot on the snake we probably shouldn't touch? The tail, that's right. And that's because on a lot of snakes, especially male snakes, they can be a little bit sensitive on their tails. Because that happens to be where they keep their reproductive organs. And kids, if you don't know about reproductive organs, ask your parents or grandparents on the drive home. Okay? They'll be thrilled to explain all of that to you, trust me. So we don't want to touch him on his head, we don't want to touch him on his tail, but you can feel him on his back. And a lot of people think that snakes are just a head and a tail, but in reality, his tail starts right here, right by my hand, right by his vent. And vent, kids, is the scientific word for snake butt. Okay? That's where his tail starts. So we don't want to touch him on his head, we don't want to touch him on his tail, but you can feel gently on his back. Now Julius Squeezer here is our last animal for the presentation. So what's going to happen now is he's going to be out on one of these tables. I will have a tarantula out. We will have a tortoise out walking around as well. Other snakes and other lizards and other animals out around the room for you guys to interact with as well. In about 15 minutes, our first mammal presentation will be starting. So before I turn off my mic, did you guys have fun? Did you guys learn anything new? And what do we do with these after touching any animal? Wash them, that's right. So my name's Cameron with Little Rays Nature Center. I want to thank you all for watching the presentation. And come on up and meet the animals, guys. Thank you.
Alright guys, is there one particular animal you guys are most excited to see? The sloth. Alright guys, so let me cover a couple of things very quickly and then we're going to tell you what we're going to be doing for this presentation. First of all, my name is Del. Can you guys say hi, Del? Secondly guys, just to remind you what the format of the day is, we have two different presentations with meet and greets after the presentation. They're going to keep rotating all day long, so if at any point you have to leave to get the kids food or anything like that, you're always welcome to go in and out all day and meet animals again or anything you might have missed. The rules again, just to review guys, the stage area is for us and the animals only. Rule number 2 guys, after we're done meeting animals today, before we go home, before we have dinner, before we put fingers near our face, we're going to wash our hands. And lastly guys, if you come up to one of us and we're holding an animal and we're trying to talk to you, what should you guys do? Listen, exactly right. Some of the animals like the boa and the tortoise we can touch. Some like the tarantula are too delicate to touch, but they can walk over our hands. There are different rules for every animal and we will let you know what they are. Now guys, I know the animal you guys are most excited to see is the sloth. Now our goal today is not for you to see a sloth from 50 feet away. Our goal is to get everyone to get closer to a sloth than they've ever been in their life. However, there is one sloth and there are hundreds of you. So this is what's going to happen for this presentation. Most of the time in this presentation, I'm going to be teaching you guys about the sloth. When I do though, while I'm talking about the sloth, I'm not going to just stay up here. I'm going to be wandering through the crowd to make sure as many people get a turn to see the sloth as possible. If you don't get to see the sloth during the presentation, we're going to keep the sloth out for about 15 to 20 minutes after the presentation as well. And we're going to have other animals for you to see. So if you did get to see the sloth, we're also going to have an armadillo out and an opossum out, plus a bunch of the other smaller critters as well. But first, before I bring out the sloth and start teaching you about the sloth, which is going to be the focus of this presentation, there's one other topic that I want to talk about very quickly that is very near and dear to our hearts, which is exotic animals as pets. Most of the animals you guys see here started out as people's pets. Last week I just moved a 600-pound alligator that we have been taking care of for about 2 years, which was someone's pet. Until finally we found a home at the Greater Vancouver Zoo, finally had a place after 2 years of taking care of this pet, and that's one animal. Some years we take it up to 800 unwanted or seized pets. Everything from little bunnies to giant alligators. So this is just a quick little bit of messaging that we find very, very important, which is about what we should do before we get an animal as a pet. Whether it's an exotic animal or not, whether it's a dog, a goldfish, a parrot, a chinchilla, a hamster, what do you guys think is the first thing we should do? And the most important thing we should do before we get any animal as a pet? What do you guys think that might be? What should we do? Oh, the big kid in the front said it. Research is absolutely right. Research is just a very fancy way to say learn about the animal. And let me show you guys why this is so important. I'm going to pick a very, very common exotic pet, the rabbit. If you guys go back up there, we have a big pen with rabbits and tortoises. I have a question about rabbits for you guys. And I want you guys to shout the answer back to me. This is a very, very easy question. Everyone always knows the answer to this one. When you get a pet rabbit, you should feed the rabbit lots and lots of what? Carrots. Everyone knows the answer to that one. Unfortunately, everyone knows the wrong answer. It's one of my favorite examples of something that sounds obvious. What could be more obvious than bunny should eat lots and lots of carrots, right? But it's not true at all. If you ask your veterinarian, if you ask a biologist like myself, they will tell you 80 to 90% of what a bunny should eat is one thing and one thing only, and it's not carrots. It's not lettuce.
Nope.
Hay, you got it.
Hay.
Grass and hay is actually what they're supposed to eat almost all of the time. If you go into a pet store and you look at bunny pellets, they are just compressed little balls of grass and hay. But what do cartoon rabbits eat all the time? Carrots, so of course you would think that. I have some shocking news for you guys. Not everything on the TV is true. If you guys see rats on cartoons, what are rats on cartoons always chasing after? Cheese. If you guys get a real pet rat though, should we be feeding it lots and lots of cheese?
No.
Not good for them either. What are cartoon cats always drinking out of bowls? Milk. But if we get a real cat, should we feed a real cat lots and lots of milk? No. So guys, before we get an animal as a pet, we can't just go by what we think sounds obvious. We can't go by what we saw on TV. The very first thing we have to do before we get any animal as a pet is lots and lots of research. Exactly right. So guys, like I said, I'm going to mostly focus on the sloth in this presentation. However, after this presentation is done, we are also going to have other animals like an opossum and an armadillo. But I want to spend at least 15 to 20 minutes talking about the sloth, walking around with the sloth, making sure everyone gets to see the sloth, and then we'll bring out the other animals at the end. Are you guys ready to see a sloth? Alright, so I'm going to bring out the sloth in a minute. I'm just going to set up the educational part of this talk. Before I bring up the sloth, guys, I want you guys to shout out the name of a fast animal. Cheetah. People always say cheetah. I have bad news for you guys. Cheetahs, not so fast. Cheetahs only go 60 miles an hour. That might sound fast, but the fastest animals on Earth go 240 miles an hour. Peregrine falcon, the single fastest animal on Earth. Very good. Now think about this, guys. Is it good to be fast? Does being fast help an animal to survive? It can. Being fast absolutely can help an animal to survive. How? How can being fast help an animal survive? What do you think? It can catch its food better, that's right. The faster the falcon is, the more likely it's going to catch the mouse. How else can being fast help us to survive?
Get away from that animal.
Yeah. It can fly away from danger, that's right. If a predator is chasing you, if you're in a forest fire, you want to be fast in order to get away. If there's a forest fire, would you rather be a falcon or a sloth? You'd rather be a falcon. So guys, the animal we're about to meet is not famous for being fast. It's famous for being slow. It is literally the slowest mammal on Earth. And it has a lot of other qualities that might sound like a disadvantage. And yet, this next animal has survived for 60 million years. What we are going to be talking about while we're bringing around the sloth is how can an animal like that survive? There must be advantages to being slow. So guys, while I bring up the sloth, because I'd be a little careful talking around the speakers there, that's what I want you guys to think about. This next animal is slow, it is weak, and if you think about it, this is an animal that really should not be able to survive. And yet it survives very, very well. So we're going to talk about the advantages of being slow. And we're going to do that with an animal named Flash, and Flash is a two-toed sloth. Yes, it's super, super dope. Guys, remember, while I am talking about the sloth, I'm going to be walking around with the sloth. Before everyone leaves, everyone is going to get to be this close to a sloth, just like I am. So while I'm walking around, just to make this possible, we're going to ask for three things. Number one, stay where you are. No chasing me and the sloth. Number two, take as many pictures as you like, but we are going to ask that your flash is off. Number three, guys, the sloth is very touch-friendly, but we're going to see about 2,000 people throughout the day today, and we have only one sloth, and the sloth has to sleep. for about 20 hours a day. Can we keep him out long enough and force him to be touched and held by everyone today? No, so this is not an animal we're going to touch. We're going to keep our hands down, but we're going to get closer to him than we've ever been to a sloth in our lives. I'm going to start with a very quick story. The very first sloth that we ever got, the first day we got the sloth, the vet came in. One of my managers accidentally knocked something off of the shelf, made a loud noise, startled the sloth. It took the sloth about 10 seconds to raise his head and turn his head and see what the noise even was. And of course, we started out laughing, thinking, how on earth can an animal like this survive? It is literally the slowest mammal on earth. One of the main predators of this animal is called a harpy eagle. They are vicious eagles, much scarier looking than your bald eagles or golden eagles that live here. Do you think this animal can run away from a harpy eagle? No way. Not only is this the slowest mammal on earth, it is the weakest mammal on earth. By that I mean, lions are one of the strongest. Lions have up to 50% of their body dedicated to muscle. Humans like us have 35 to 40% of their body dedicated to muscle. But a sloth only has about 20 to 25% of its body dedicated to muscle. They have so little muscle. Can a sloth stand up? No, a sloth cannot stand up. Can a sloth even walk? Nope. Can a sloth even crawl? Nope, it doesn't even have enough muscle to crawl. They can hang from trees, and that is about it. One of the saddest sights in the world, if you look up pictures of sloth crossing the road, sloths crossing roads, all they can do to cross the road is slowly drag themselves. So unfortunately, one of the reasons that sloths go in danger is because of road fatalities. One of the charities that this event supports actually is called the Sloth Foundation. It's a UK-based charity. And they build tunnels under roads and bridges over roads in places like Costa Rica. And that prevents a lot of road fatalities for sloths and turtles and lots of other animals that are very susceptible to those. So, this is the slowest mammal on Earth. It is the weakest mammal on Earth, and yet it has survived for 60 million years. There must be some advantages to being slow. Can anyone guess what an advantage of being slow might be? Why might it be good to be slow? How can being slow help us to survive? They think it's dead, you're very close. So, but before they even think it's dead, they're not even going to spot it. So, the harpy eagle very rarely gets to see the sloth to begin with. Sure, the sloth can't fight off a harpy eagle. The sloth can't run away from a harpy eagle. But the sloth is very unlikely to see the harpy eagle in the first place. Or sorry, the harpy eagle is very likely to see the sloth in the first place. Guys, what color is the sloth? Brown. What color is the sloth in the wild, do you think? Green. Now, there are no green mammals on Earth, but the sloth will appear green in the wild because these guys are so slow that moss and algae grow over their fur. So not only do they stay very still, just like this, for over 20 hours a day, they will actually start to turn the color of the forests that they are in. So they are very hard to see. So that is one big survival advantage to being slow. There is one other big survival advantage to being slow.
Save energy.
Saving energy. Very good. So guys, if you're a falcon and you're going 240 miles an hour when you hunt the mouse, going very fast takes a lot of what? Energy, that's right. And where does our energy come from? Our food, exactly. So guys, if the falcon goes out to hunt today, and it has a bad day, it doesn't catch any mice. The falcon will go out to hunt tomorrow, has another bad day, doesn't catch any mice. The falcon has a third bad day in a row, the falcon is gone. The falcon can burn away 15% of its whole body weight in one day. Imagine going to the gym today, and if you weigh 200 pounds, losing 30 pounds at the gym today. That is how fast a falcon burns energy. The big boa constrictor that you just saw, that boa constrictor can easily go 6 months with no food. The tarantula that we saw can go 2 years with no food. Those are examples of very, very low energy animals. The sloth is a very low energy animal. The sloth eats types of greens and veggies that have very, very little nutritional content. No other animal can survive off of the leaves that these guys eat because they have so few calories in them. So this is a very low energy animal. These guys' metabolisms are so slow that they only poop once every week or two. And you wish your kids were probably like that. So there are 2 giant advantages to being slow. One is that you become very, very hard to see. And 2 is that you're conserving energy. And those kind of go hand in hand. The less muscle mass you have, the less active you are, the easier it is to hide, and the easier it is to go longer with fewer calories. If you ask a general audience whether it is better to be strong or weak, if you were a random animal, what would you prefer, to be strong or weak? To be big or small? To be fast or slow? Everyone says, oh, I'd rather be fast, I'd rather be big, I'd rather be strong. That is what is going to help me to survive. But that is not always true. Whether it is better to be big or small, whether it is better to be slow or fast, whether it is better to be strong or weak, depends on the environment. I'm going to give you guys one final example. Did you guys know that there used to be giant sloths on Earth? 20-foot tall sloths. Not 65 million years ago when the dinosaurs lived, 10 to 20,000 years ago. They lived with humans. What happened to the giant sloths? Does anyone know what happened to them? They got killed a little bit. Something else happened. You know what? Say it again. They went extinct. Why did giant sloths go extinct? Meteor was 65 million years ago. This is only 10,000 years ago. I'll give you a clue, guys. We lost all of these following animals at the same time. Giant woolly mammoths, okay, like giant elephants. Giant saber-toothed cats. Giant beavers. Giant rats. Giant sloths. A lot of the giant versions of animals that live today went extinct at the same time. Ice Age is exactly right. When ice started covering the world, did the amount of food go up or down? Down. There was less food. If there is less food, is it better to be big or small? It's better to be small because a small animal uses less what? Energy. And if it uses less energy, it needs less what? It needs less food. That's right. If anyone here ever goes down to Central America, if you go to Costa Rica, go find sloth tunnels. Giant sloths made tunnels underground. They look like giant man-made tunnels. They're literally like 15-foot diameter tunnels. They still exist today. They were made by sloths 10,000 years ago. You can go walk through those tunnels today. Those animals are all gone because of food scarcity, because of an ice age. The smaller versions of sloths, the smaller versions of elephants and cats and beavers and rats and all of those animals survived because they were smaller, because they needed less energy. So sometimes it's better to be small. Sometimes it's better to be slow. Sometimes it is even better to be weak, to have less muscle mass and use less energy. So guys, let me tell you what's going to happen now. I am going to have the sloth behind here, and we're going to let everyone get this close to the sloth until everyone gets a picture, asks a question, and so on. If you already got a good picture with the sloth and got a good turn, you're also going to have the armadillo out. The armadillo is going to be over there behind the chairs. You'll see a little grassy tabletop play area that we have for the armadillo, and the opossum will be on one of the sides of the stage here. So guys, the opossum, the armadillo, and the sloth are going to be on for about the next 20 minutes before we start the next reptile presentation. Just two things, guys, before I invite you to come up and meet these three animals. Number one, after we're done meeting the animals, we're going to wash our hands. And number two, guys, did you learn anything new and interesting about animals today? Yeah. Yeah? Awesome, guys. Guys, my name is Del. Come on up, and you can ask as many